Welcome back to another video on ratios. Today we are going to talk about the first type of question that may actually come out, which is one side remains unchanged. So, what does one side remains unchanged mean? So, let's say we have a ratio of two items, and the number of one item actually changes. So, the numerical value of one item changes. And in this case, right, it actually leaves the other side unchanged with the new ratio. For example, I can say that actually I have the ratio of apples to oranges I have is 2:1. And let's say I suddenly give away 2 apples. Perhaps the ratio changes into like 3:2. That's an example. And what does this mean? Actually, because only the apples changes, the value of the oranges actually does not change. So we have the same number of oranges from start to end. So that's what it means by one side remains unchanged. And we will actually use this knowledge to solve questions using new ratios. So let's get right into it. So let's say I have this question. The ratio of number of chickens to the number of ducks is 3:2. And after I give away 25 chickens, the ratio becomes 2:3. What is the total number of animals at first? So before we start on this question, we actually have to get our information and understand it. So at first there's 3 chickens to 2 ducks. Then after that, there's 2 chickens to 3 ducks. So from what we understand from the question, only the number of chickens change actually. So the number here, the units here, is actually equivalent to the another parts, I would say, here. So why can't we say that this is 2 units and this is 3 units? Because they are not equivalent. If the if this is 2 units, then this also has to be 2 units. Because the number of ducks didn't change in even before or after. So how can we use this information to our advantage? So because the number here, the numerical value here is actually equal to the numerical value here, we actually can make it the same. So how do we make it the same? We multiply it by its respective numbers to find the lowest common multiple, which is 6 in this case. So 9:6 and 4:6. So with this, we can actually see a change in the number of chickens, number of units of chickens. But the ducks actually stay the same, the number of units of ducks. So you can see that actually the chickens at first, there were 9 units of chickens. But after that, there were 4 units of chickens. And that is our change. So 5 units, which represents the 25, which actually was mentioned in the question. It was taken out. So now we can find 1 unit, which is 5. And with that, we can actually find our answer. Because the question asks, what is the total number of animals at first? So our total units of animals is 9:6. So 9 plus 6. 9 units of chickens and 6 units of ducks, which gives us 15 units of animals. And with that, we can find our total number of animals at first by multiplying 15 to the value of 1 unit, which is 5. So 5 times 15 will give 75. And that is actually our answer. So let's take another example to actually help you to reinforce the concept. So the ratio of apples to oranges is 2:7. After 12 apples were eaten, the ratio became 1:4. So what is the total number of fruits at first? So again, we can actually see that our information tells us that only the apples change. So this number, this numerical value, is actually equal to this numerical value. So what do we do first? Because the oranges didn't change, we make this the same because they actually represent the same numerical value. So how do we do that? We find the lowest common multiple between these two, which is 28. And how do we make these 28? We times 4 to make it equivalent. And then with this, we will beautifully see that actually the difference is 1 unit. And the 1 unit represents the 12 apples that were eaten. So the total number of fruits, there's 36 units here. So we multiply it by 12, which is the value of one unit, and we'll get our answer. So a summary. So first we need to identify the question, and then we need to make sure that it is a one side remains unchanged questions. Then after that we write out the before and after ratios, and then we make the number under the unchanged item the same on both sides, using the idea of lowest common multiple. Then we can find the difference in units of the changed item and match it to the information given. And then with the value of one unit, we can actually just find whatever they want. So last thing to note before we actually end this video is that when we have a new ratio, we have to use it because we are using the units of the new ratio to actually solve the question. So we can't go back to the old ratio. So with that, this is about it for actually one side remains unchanged. And stay tuned for the other types of questions